It's okay. My sweet, sweet boy.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Boys Season 5, Episode 3 video. There were a whole bunch of WTF moments, Easter eggs, and references to the comics, so we will break it all down. As expected, Homelander continuing to mow through as many characters as possible this series. The body count is definitely rising faster and faster. There are a lot of beatings going around in the episode, but it really did feel like Ryan got the worst one of all of them, and the one with the most pathos behind it too, because of the way it went down. Like his entire life, he had believed a lie about what had really happened between Homelander and his mother. And as you could tell from Homelander's very toxic relationship with his father, Soldier Boy, he passes down his own trauma that he experienced from Soldier Boy to his son, Ryan. So it's all about this generational trauma. Even Jensen Ackles himself said that his Soldier Boy character has his own childhood trauma from his father who used to beat and mistreat him. But at least Ryan is still alive at the end of the episode. There were so many theories about this scene of Homelander because it was in all the trailers, but the way you see him breathing at the end of the episode just lets you know that he did survive it. So Ryan will be around in next week's episode at least. The entire fact that he survived this fight also makes me feel like he's going to be safe for the rest of the season too. Like whatever happens in the actual finale, Ryan will survive the finale. The episode title is Every One of You Sons of Bees, which is named after issue number 6 of the Boys Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker story arc. They use a lot of the names of the comics for titles of episodes. And for those of you wondering what's been happening with Ryan since the events of last season, they finally answer that in the opening scene. It starts with the Russian strike team coming for Ryan in Russia at an abandoned house who's been hiding out since leaving Homelander, maybe accidentally, maybe kind of on purpose, killing Mallory. They also do talk about that later in the episode too, Butcher yelling at him for killing Mallory, being a monster just like Homelander. But we actually hear from Ryan later that the real reason why he was hiding out in Russia wasn't because he was afraid of Homelander or the other members of the Seven or any of Vought. It was because he felt like everybody that he was around wound up getting hurt and he was responsible for that. And he didn't want to hurt anyone else, so he was trying to hide by himself. It's literally the same thing that Starlight just did with Huey at the end of this week's episode, where she leaves not wanting Huey to get hurt because he doesn't have Compound V powers anymore. But the entire vibe of the beginning of the episode here is they treat Ryan sort of like a monster the way that they film him. Like you don't see him, you just see him killing other people, like people getting yoinked all over the screen, almost like he's an actual demon. And it's meant to also be a comp to Homelander doing the same thing at the end of Season 1 to that Middle Eastern group inside that base. Like father, like son, just laying waste to a group of people. To be fair, in this case, Ryan does try to apologize to one of the team leaders before he actually kills him, but it's pretty gruesome. Then we go back to the 7th Tower to find out that Homelander had a video created to help bring Soldier Boy back to the public media. Basically what he promised Soldier Boy they would do, help him make a big comeback and explain why he was in Russia this whole time and that he was not a traitor. Firecracker narrates the whole video. We see a montage of all the important people he met over his life. The reason why she calls him America's first hero is because he was literally the first American that got Compound V and survived after Friedrich Vought defected to the United States with Stormfront through Operation Paperclip, because after World War II, America was worried about Russia in the Cold War, so that's why they wanted to stockpile more superheroes. They later explained that Soldier Boy just happened to be one of the first Americans to survive the V1 treatment, and then a couple others after him. We'll talk about them in a second too, because a lot of this episode, especially the V1 plot and all the 1950s stuff that they reference, is to set up the prequel show called Vought Rising, which takes place in the 1950s with Soldier Boy, Stormfront, and all the other characters that they mention as part of this storyline.
You, Bomb Sight, Torpedo, Private Angel, Stormfront.
We actually just found out that they're going to be releasing those episodes pretty early next year too, so we wanted to wait that long to get the episodes. So this is why you're starting to hear so many Easter eggs for that other show. They're using the finale, final season, to actually set that up. They blame Soldier Boy being trashed on the legacy media, which is a real life thing, like a real life terminology that the news media use and a lot of politicians use. But if you watch the footage, it's actually Homelander supporters that were turning on Soldier Boy's statues. They also blamed the events of the end of Season 3 with the explosion at the 7th Tower on Starlight. Pretty much anything that they don't like, that Homelander doesn't like, they try to pin on Starlight and Starlighters. We see meet Nixon, then she claims that she's telling everyone the truth, and the real excuse for why he was in Russia this whole time is to say that he was working with the Russians to deal with the Ukraine traitors, which is a reference to the very real-life war between Russia and Ukraine that's been happening the past couple of years. Then they show a very ironic picture of him shaking Putin's hand. It's very bad AI fake, like a very bad Photoshop job, which itself is meant to be another callback to all the compliments and complaining that Homelander did about AI in episode 1 and 2, with him abandoning all the people on the plane. Also, when they mention cozying up to Russia and all the anti-trans commentary, that's also a dig at the current US administration too. Sage seems like she's very pleased with the video, or she likes Soldier Boy for some reason. Homelander then has another flashback to the same experience he had when he felt O-Father's powers. He then hears Madeline Stillwell's voice saying, "My poor sweet boy," teeing up his further hallucinations. We will get to that in a second because they are absolutely bonkers. If you thought he was crazy in previous seasons talking to the other versions of himself, the other personas, he goes way further this time. Then it seems like he goes way off book when he announces to the press that Soldier Boy is his father, which Sage seems very pissed about, like she didn't want him to do that, probably because she's more worried about how Homelander is going to act if Soldier Boy moves against them, or if they need to maneuver around things, just basically alliances shifting behind the scenes that Sage does not like. On his side of things, though, especially at the beginning of the episode, Soldier Boy still seems absolutely pissed about what happened with the virus. Notice he seems totally fine, though. No markings on his face, just very pissed. He healed all the damage that was happening when he got the virus. Sage then launches into her big PowerPoint presentation of how it all works and what happened. So V1 was created by Friedrich Vought during World War II for the Nazis while testing on all the people in the Nazi prison camps. He wound up killing thousands of people to achieve a mere few successes because the formulation, the V1, was so unstable, but so powerful. Stormfront just wound up being the first successful candidate that actually survived it, but he had tried it on many others before her. They're basically saying it's 10 times more powerful than the version that Homelander was given, but the version that Homelander was given and all the other modern superheroes is way more stable, so there's way less of a chance that they're all going to splatter. So when they say the original version only worked in a handful of people back during that era, that's a reference to Compound V in the comics. In the comics, it kills most of the people who take it, only a fraction survive, and usually it's only babies and children, like a lot of adults aren't able to take it and survive. When she mentions it also worked on Bombsight, Torpedo, Private Angel, those are characters that will appear on the Soldier Boy prequel series called Vought Rising, and this is what they look like. It's set in the 1950s after World War II, like I said. It's going to deal with the advent of the Cold War. Stormfront is also a main character, but going by her Liberty name with that costume, and Sage also has to explain Stormfront to Soldier Boy, who only knew her as Liberty.
Who is Stormfront?
Dr. Vought's wife, Clara. I think you know her as Liberty?
But at least the way they explain it, Soldier Boy didn't know anything about Stormfront or Friedrich Vought defecting from the Nazis, that they used to be Nazis in the first place. He only ever knew her as Liberty. But the other funny detail is that both father and son are now Eskimo brothers with Stormfront. Homelander does not seem very happy about that. Samir then explains V1 to the boys. It's been around since the 50s, but that's another reference to the prequel series releasing next year. Sage explains the virus will work on Homelander currently, and then he starts his mission to find V1 to make himself immune and immortal. But this is only part of his new mission. It's not until he has the Stillwell hallucination that he decides that he's going to become an actual god, like turn himself into a literal god emperor. When Soldier Boy says that he was sent into the wood chipper, that feels kind of like a Fargo reference, then makes fun of Homelander for getting old, dying from the virus. One way or another, he feels like he's gonna get the last laugh, like I'll be running the 7 looking at you in the wheelchair laughing at you. He mentions Sherry Lewis a couple times in the episode. Turns out he really liked doing it with Sherry Lewis. She was a star back during the 40s, 50s, and Studio 54 later. You remember in a previous season they revealed that Soldier Boy's kinks are older women from that era, even if they're still alive and older, like much older in present day. So that's why he was getting it on with all like the really, really old women. Homelander then starts to turn on him a little when he starts to verbally abuse him. So remember, this is all setting up him visiting his abuse physically on Ryan by the end of the episode too. But here, it just seems like Soldier Boy breaks Homelander's brain because he's just frozen there for so long after he leaves. So part of the idea here is they just want to set the generational trauma that they're setting up for Ryan. Like, basically Soldier Boy is setting Ryan up for his beating at the end of the episode. One of Homelander's greatest nightmares is his own father hating him, his own son hating him. This is what's breaking his brain so much. And it's also one of the reasons why he hallucinates Stillwell right after this. Then they confirm the boys go to Stan Edgar's safety bunker that we saw during Gen V. He mentions Marie Moreau, claiming that she connected the boys with him, but she is not coming at the moment. I believe they'll show up in some way in the background, but they're not like a real big part of the season. The ending of Gen V Season 2 kind of made it sound like they were going to be a bigger deal during The Boys Season 5, but I think it just came to the point where there are too many characters for them to pay off all the bigger storylines in a satisfying way, and they really want to focus on the core Boys characters, not on the Gen V characters. One of the ironic things is that in The Boys' success and all their spin-offs that they have now, they're starting to turn into a Marvel type of problem where eventually it becomes too big for its own good and they have problem servicing all the different characters in satisfying ways. Like, that's what happens when you get too big for your own good. Stan Edgar reveals that he knows all about the V1. He has Friedrich Vought's files, what's left of them, because he was CEO of Vought for so long. But he's also pissed at Butcher for killing Victoria Newman, who was his adopted daughter, who he did love like a father, and he's also pissed for Zoe, and they set up the Zoe arc in the episode too. When Huey says Vicky meant a lot to him, it's because they became friends when he worked for her in a previous season, but also in real life, funny Easter egg, the actress who plays Victoria Newman is in a relationship with Jack Quaid. When he takes them down to his bunker, they make more jokes about the ultra-rich. They did the same thing during Gen V. Translucent's son Maverick is here from Gen V as well, another big crossover character. Huey freaks out because they killed Translucent during Season 1 in a pretty gross kind of way. You notice he's wearing an Invisible Force 2 shirt. That was one of Translucent's movies, and they have a joke about him using this crazy body spray that was one of Translucent's products that he sold. When he says he quit Godolkin and that Stan Edgar, who we know lied, told him Homelander killed Translucent, that was probably to get Maverick to work for him. Like right after this, he and Huey share a knowing look like, don't anybody say anything to Maverick about what really happened. He makes a joke about the teenage kicks because of all the Gen V characters, like you have all these teenage characters, are you making another version of the teenage kicks? We will see what the future holds for the Gen V characters, like will they do Gen V Season 3 or will they just move on to other spin-offs and prequels? Stan Edgar gives his own PowerPoint presentation, more backstory on V1. All of Friedrich Vought's terrible experiments are all references to real-life atrocities that the Nazis did experimenting on people in concentration camps. Later in the episode, Homelander basically tells Sage to start doing this with their prison camps too, so Homelander is kind of turning into a Nazi himself. Stormfront would be proud of him.
You are everything that we dreamed of.
Then we finally get the most epic of Homelander hallucinations. We will see if they top this at some point later this season, because a couple parts of this are probably going to be memed to the heat death of the universe. Like you talk about the craziest Homelander memes, a couple new ones just got introduced. First, he hallucinates all the people that he was close to in his life. Soldier Boy, Stan Edgar, everybody else, calling him a failure, basically telling him he's total crap, until he finally hallucinates Stillwell as an angel. The same dialogue that he heard before, my boy, my sweet boy. And it's all because of his mother kink, so it's his own mind manifesting her. The way that he talked to himself in the mirror, the other personas, it's the same basic concept. It's just that his mind is so broken, it's latched on to like the one thing that he is obsessed with, the motherly figure that he loved, that he felt like cared about him too, even though technically that's also a lie. Stillwell just did what she could to keep him under control. So if it wasn't clear, when Stillwell tells him that he's about to ascend to true godhood and become immortal and gives him the idea that he should replace people's worship of Jesus and God with him, you should be worshipped, and will basically go full Old Testament on everyone who opposes him, and the ones left alive will be his new followers, no matter how many people it takes for him to kill. It gets pretty graphic, like she orders him to rip babies out of people's wombs. But remember, this is Homelander's own mind manifesting this, so it's basically him talking to himself. It's just Stillwell is the visualization of that. And of course, no Boys episode would be complete without a milk joke, and the last task here, of course, is to drink breast milk right from the source, and it seems like he's actually climaxing here. This isn't even the end of the milk jokes in the episode, like there are more milk jokes, but it felt like this one was like the biggest one. This entire milk bit feels like it was tailor-made for a YouTube video, like Homelander Top 10 WTF Milk References. We then find out that Zoe has been in contact with Ryan, who comes to the bunker from Russia. He lies about killing the Russians, and Zoe tries to convince him to kill Butcher to get revenge for her mother. And it seems like he's kind of sweet on her, like maybe they've had some kind of texting relationship at some point. Then they reveal that Butcher was watching the whole time and claims that he was planning on baiting Ryan to come out even if Zoe had not. They talk a little bit about Becca. They have it out because he's so pissed at Butcher still for what Butcher did to him. And Butcher starts to explain why he wants Ryan to help him kill Homelander, who he actually goes straight back to and we find out is now bathing in full-on breast milk. Even though it's crazy, it doesn't feel quite as crazy as him drinking breast milk from the hallucinatory Stillwell. Soldier Boy seems absolutely disgusted by this, but Homelander tries to get him on board and even tells him about his vision that he had about how he wants to become a god. When he mentions Cleopatra Jones, that was a blaxploitation film star from the 1970s. They have another back and forth like they still hate each other. Homelander kind of gives him an ultimatum and then drinks some of the breast milk that he's in the middle of bathing. It really feels like Homelander has gone from your typical really crazy superhero to being like a full-on Mad Caesar, like he's giving Mad Caesar vibes. We get a couple more moments in the bunker with Huey trying to bond with Maverick, tries to get him to stay away from all the fighting, lead a normal life. Like it's meant to be a nice speech. He also mentions Sloane, his alpaca girlfriend that we saw during Gen V.
Hey, what's up, guys?
They start to set up the idea of Fort Harmony as the last big test site where Vought worked on the V1, so that's where they're headed at the end of the episode. And we learn about Butcher's plan to try and kill Homelander, and Ryan too, and himself. Butcher wants Ryan to bait Homelander out, use the virus on him, it'll kill both of them, but Butcher will then be there with him and he will die with Ryan so that Ryan doesn't have to die alone. Mostly trying to gas him up on the idea that he would be dying to save the world, which Ryan eventually gets on board with. And the whole idea with Butcher is that he's been ready to die for a long time now. He knows that he's going to die, like he's prepared for it, but he doesn't want to die until Homelander is dead. We get a brief moment with the Deep, who drives a Tesla Cybertruck, listening to Limp Bizkit, pissed about Soldier Boy becoming so popular, stealing all the popularity juice from him. Black Noir, Cindy, and Dognaught are with them, and they're on their way to yoink Stan Edgar and bring him back to Vought, because it sounds like Homelander wants him to help with the V1. So basically, Homelander has the same idea that the boys had: go find Stan Edgar, because he probably knows about all this, which he did. And I believe this is the first time that Cindy actually gets a voiceover dialogue, and they give her the most epic rant that is even more over the top than all of Homelander's rants in the episode 2. Also turns out that she's married to the reincarnation of Robin Williams' Mork character from Mork and Mindy, which she claims was a documentary. Frenchie and Kimiko spot them without realizing it's them and then talk about the V1, their life together. Kimiko basically explains to him that she wants children and a quiet, nice life together after Frenchie says that he wants to do all these crazy things. So part of the idea is that you do wonder what their life is going to be like after this. Do they survive this? There are a couple characters that I do think are going to be safe. Like I think that Starlight and Huey will probably be safe. We will see about Kimiko and Frenchie though. Then if it wasn't clear, Butcher snuck a tracker into Ryan's coat pocket so that he could track him later. It's how he finds him after Homelander almost beat him to death. He also tries to bond with Ryan over his terrible father, like they both have terrible fathers, they both had terrible childhoods, and confirms that he did kill his father in a previous episode. He implied that he was going to, but we didn't see it on screen. Back at the bunker, we find out that there are riots in the street now, like things around the country are getting worse. Stan Edgar seems relatively bemused by it, like he's expecting all this and has clocked it all, like it's all just part of a system that he already understands. He actually gets a pretty wicked speech later in the episode with Mother's Milk, explaining why potentially there's no way that the boys could ever win because corporations are the true villains. We will get to that in a second too. Zoe then bails on the group to try and kill Butcher, but winds up finding her father Samir, and they learn the truth that the boys have been lying to them. Butcher has been lying about what he did, killing Victoria Newman, causing him to destroy all the virus. So this really big deal, they now have no way to actually stop Homelander if he actually does get the V1. And it does seem like it's a foregone conclusion that he will eventually get that V1. So how does anybody stop Homelander if he does become immortal? Mother's Milk and Stan Edgar bond over cigars, who says he remembers Mother's Milk's father complimenting him for causing Vought's lawyers so much grief back in the day, but also uses it as another example of how they will never truly succeed because his father ultimately was not able to stop the power of Vought's lawyers. They were just too much. First, he uses Homelander as an example of an unstoppable force. Like, first, you're probably not going to be able to stop Homelander, but even if you are for some reason, corporations are even worse. And he himself says that he's going to take control of Vought again after this, and the money must flow, the system must continue, the spice must flow.
The spice must flow.
Basically saying that ultimately, even if they do get rid of Homelander, nothing will actually change. The world will be the exact same as it is now. It is very, very pessimistic, but it's actually very true to real world. Like, corporations are very, very evil. Mother's Milk vows to his face to kill him if it comes to that, and Stan Edgar seems like he welcomes the attempt. It's a very Gus Fring vibe that he's giving off during this whole scene. Like, Homelander is more of a Darth Vader, but Stan Edgar is really more of an Emperor Palpatine kind of figure. We get another crazy puppet show on the Vought Kids channel. The Homelander youth are meant to be a reference to the Nazi youth. Sage also seems like she likes the idea of indoctrinating the youth. Homelander then goes full Nazi scientist like Friedrich Vought back in the day during World War II when he orders Vought to recreate the V1 at any cost and just start testing it on all the people in their prison camps, like Nazis experimenting on people in concentration camps. Then, as evil as Sage has been so far, this gives her pause, like, wait a minute, you want me to do what? Wally's drinking from a container of breast milk, which pisses Firecracker off, who decides to cozy up to Soldier Boy to get back at him, and they bond over their love of guns. Like, they both genuinely love guns. They wind up having sex at her apartment and talk about Homelander's kinks. She basically explains his whole mother kink, like, oh no, I never actually slept with him because he fetishized me like I was his mother. He mentions Sherry Lewis again. It turns out he really liked getting it on with Sherry Lewis. And it also turns out that he is a Bushman. He really loves Harry Bush. But the really important thing here, though, is that Firecracker kind of turns him around on Homelander a little. Like, he still thinks that Homelander is the biggest weirdo on the planet, but he doesn't hate him quite as much. He also reveals that he had a threesome with Gary Busey, just like throwing that in there on top. Ryan then reunites with the rest of the boys, and Butcher turns on them when he learns what happened with Samir and them losing the virus. Then, if it wasn't clear here, Butcher genuinely tries to call off the hit on Homelander, telling Ryan that he just gassed it up to try and trap Homelander. That's all true. Like, he wasn't trying to bait Ryan into going after Homelander anyway. Ryan himself just gets so pissed off that he tries to go after Homelander on his own, going rogue. So it wasn't like Butcher was working some four-dimensional chess against him. He really did want Ryan to just chill out for like a week or a month. Like, no, we'll come up with some other plan, then go after him again. We get a couple funny moments with Maverick and the Seven once they show up. The Deep tells him the truth about what happened to his father, Translucent. He allows them, he helps them get into the bunker, and they have their big fight scene. Stan Edgar tries to betray them, but gets yoinked instantly, instant karma, by Black Noir, who makes a RoboCop reference. Then the Deep turns on him, betraying Black Noir, gassing him, so that he can be the one to claim the credit for apprehending Stan Edgar and get back in Homelander's good graces, which it seems like he does. There are also a couple ironic takedowns during this too. Mother's Milk uses the body spray on Dognot, which he said was poisonous to him, like way worse because his senses are so much greater. Cindy winds up blowing up Maverick like a wet balloon, and then Starlight kills Cindy, thinking that it was Huey. So RIP, a whole bunch of people, like the body count rose quite a bit higher this episode. But we really haven't seen any main characters actually eat it. Then we get our big fight between Ryan and Homelander towards the end of the episode, and this is really like the big fight of the episode. If you couldn't tell, this is meant to be in one of the same buildings that they went to try and be a family together. It was super awkward in a previous season when Ryan was much younger. He then tells Ryan about his whole V1 God Emperor plan, who then confronts him about abusing Becca, loses it on him after he catches him lying about, like, you're lying about what you did. Then even though he lands a couple hits on him, they don't really faze Homelander, and Homelander eventually overpowers him and pounds the life out of him, almost, basically like the edge of death. Wally's also saying the same thing that Stillwell told him, my sweet, sweet boy.
My sweet, sweet boy.
Completing the circuit of generational trauma from Soldier Boy to his son Homelander to his son Ryan now. Butcher eventually finds him, seems very worried about him, but we do see him breathing at the end of the episode, so he will live to fight another day. Like I said, I think him surviving this beating makes him safe on a narrative level, like he has enough plot armor now that he will survive the finale. If they really wanted to kill Ryan off, they probably would have done it here. While this is going on, the boys also make their plan to go to Fort Harmony to look for any remnants of the V1. Homelander and Soldier Boy will also eventually go there too, because it's where Soldier Boy was experimented on and got his version of V1. I think the idea is that Fort Harmony is meant to feel like Camp Lehigh in the Captain America movies. That's where Captain America got the super soldier serum. Soldier Boy is basically the boys' version of Captain America. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references to the comics or anything else that I didn't talk about during the video, just add them below in the comments. My full episode 4 video will post next week after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. And I'm almost done with my Invincible episode 7 video. I'll try to get that up as quickly as possible. Everybody click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post it, and click here for all my other Boys episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.